Meeting to order. Please rise for the prayer and pledge of allegiance. Our
Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item D on the agenda is approval of minutes from June 5th, 2023, regular council meeting minutes. In the absence of any objections or corrections, the minutes shall stand approved. Hearing none, they stand approved. Item E, if there's anyone in the audience that would like to address council, something that is not on the agenda, step up to the podium, or if you're on WebEx, you can send us a message and we will check that periodically. Item F, reports from from council committees. F1, the electric committee did not meet tonight due to lack of agenda items. F2, the water, sewer, refuse, recycling, and litter committee met tonight at 6 p.m. Dr. Dave?
Committee was given an update on the progress of the wastewater treatment plant and construction project. And we also heard a presentation from USG on the South Water Tower inspection.
Okay, thank you. Item F3, municipal properties, building, land use, and economic development committee did not meet tonight due to lack of agenda items. All right, moving on to item H, introduction of new ordinances and resolutions. We have resolution number 028-23, a resolution authorizing the expenditure of funds over $50,000 for the purpose of purchasing and outfitting 2 replacement vehicles for the City of Napoleon Department of Public Works and City of Napoleon Department of Water Distribution Services, to award said purchase to Reineke Ford Lincoln Incorporated, and to award said outfitting to a Kaleida truck, and declaring an emergency, and suspension is requested. Motion.
Second.
Okay, Andy.
Yes, thank you, Council President. This is one of the main reasons we really wanted to meet sooner rather than later in order to get these trucks ordered, and which is why suspension has been requested. But with that said, and since he did such a great job at the last council meeting, I'm going to pass it along to Chad and allow him to further expound upon this.
Yes, I had included a memo in your packet last week, and I had explained some of this. As the city manager mentioned, we're requesting to purchase these vehicles from Reineke Ford. Reineke Ford is able to give us a price that's below the state contract. There was some gray area as to whether or not we have the authority to just go buy it, or if we needed legislation. We erred on the side of caution and put it in the legislation. This legislation will allow us to waive the bidding process. We can then purchase the vehicles from Reineke Ford and then have them outfitted by Kaleida Truck, which has outfitted the rest of our fleet. As mentioned, we're requesting suspension. Reineke Ford has the 2 vehicles sitting there available for us, which is very uncommon these days. So we would just like to move forward, get them to Kaleida as fast as we can, and get them outfitted and replace the vehicles we currently have in our fleet, which are wore out. So we are requesting suspension, and these 2 items were both in the budget, and the prices are below what we had budgeted.
You read my mind and answered my question. Thank you.
I've been doing this a while.
I'll make a motion for suspension.
Second?
Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Okay, any questions or comments regarding the resolution? Okay, hearing none, Rox, please call the roll.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
All right, that has passed on first read under suspension. Okay, item I, second readings of ordinances and resolutions. I-1 is ordinance number 024-23. An ordinance amending the City of Napoleon rules, terms, and conditions governing the sale of electrical service, specifically Rule 26, Appendix A, and declaring an emergency.
Motion?
Second?
Andy?
Yes, Council President, once again, this is the legislation in regard to the pole attachment fees, or the adjustment of the pole attachment fees in the electrical service rules. And it's just basically raising them per the consumer price index from where they were initially when the legislation was written.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Ken,
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
All right, that will be moving on to third read. Item I-2 is resolution number 026-23, a resolution approving the continued operation of the Napoleon Outdoor Refreshment Area, NORA, and declaring an emergency.
Motion.
Second?
Yes, once again, Council President, as you just read, this is nothing but a continuance of 5 years. Every 5 years, we have to vote on continuance of the NORA, and that's what this piece of legislation does.
Okay. Any questions, comments regarding this?
No.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Ken,
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
All right, that will be moving on to third read. Item J is third readings of ordinances and resolutions. We have none tonight. Item K is good of the city. K1 is discussion or action, review or approval of the power supply cost adjustment factor for June 2023 as PSCAF 3-month average factor 0.01733 and JV2 0.048614. Okay, Andy?
Yes, there is really nothing in particular about this rate. It's pretty normal and average. As the finance director has stated in the past, that the effects from Winter Storm Elliott are now off our 3-month rolling average. And these should stay stable for probably the next year, barring any other unforeseen event, like a winter storm or a other issue. But there was something else we talked about today, Kevin, that I wanted to add.
Well, part of the issue with Winter Storm Elliott is there are some credits and there's some penalties depending on how energy producers have performed. And until all that gets panned out, we may get some credits, but we may see those credits within the next 6 months because there's a lot of discussion on what these penalties should be and what the credits should be. So instead of them being released to us like this month and next month, they want to see, they don't want to issue out credits and then say, nope, you got too much, we got to issue it back with that. We're in a situation with our joint ventures that some places get a great credit, and I think as a whole, we're going to end up receiving credits back minus our penalties. But some entities that did not perform to what they were expected to during that winter storm, they may have to pay some penalties.
There's a lot of uncertainty. There's lawsuits going back and forth. There have been several bankruptcies caused by just that one single winter storm. So there's still a lot of uncertainty out there. And rather than, give us all these credits right now, they don't have to take anything back. So they're being very cautious with that.
So if and when we receive these credits, will that directly affect the power supply cost adjustment?
Not necessarily the power supply cost adjustment, but our bill in general will be affected one way or the other by that. Hopefully, there's more credits than penalties.
That's coming from AMP.
That's correct. Okay.
Yeah, and reason that it could affect it won't affect our rate so much as it will make our bill, is that we don't want this to cause this month a rate is really dropped, and then even doing our 3-month average, we don't want to spike or dip extremely.
And Ross, to answer your question, it's not directly to the members from AMP. It's a RTO issue. It's greater than AMP. It's just part of AMP being involved in all these generation assets and what's gonna happen along the line in terms of them getting their credits for performing well, or those that didn't perform well or underperformed, having the penalties assessed. So they're just being very cautious in terms of how that's all gonna come out of the wash, basically.
When do we expect to know?
I say at the best, we're talking about within the next 6 months.
Yeah.
It'll all be panned
Probably
out.
good.
I mean, basically during Winter Storm Elliott, I'll rehash this a little bit. The company that states this is the estimated power usage that we need per day, underestimated vastly. And they called a lot of energy producers and said, you need to produce by contract, and if you can't, you're gonna get fined, and if you can, you're gonna sell your extra power at a higher rate, which they did. So there's a lot of questions on the penalties that were issued out to some energy producers, because the notice was, in some cases, less than an hour
Yeah.
to produce.
It-
And,
It literally was a perfect storm,
Yeah.
because it happened December 23rd. People had left for their vacations, for Christmas break. Cell phones weren't checked. I mean, it was literally a horrible event that caught a lot of people off guard. As you recall, I mean, the temperature dropped 40 or 50 degrees like that.
Yeah.
And they talked down there about whether it was a 100-year event, and they just laughed and said, no, this is like a 1,000-year event, where everything can just line up as terribly as it did. So,
Thank you very much. Any other questions, comments about that? You need a motion to approve?
So
Vote,
second.
whichever.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Ken,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
Okay, item K2 is discussion or action for second quarter budget adjustments. That we just need to direct the law director to draft legislation. Any other questions, comments for that?
this is what we do quarterly. We're basically making a motion to have the law director enact legislation following the 26th meeting for the Finance and Budget Committee, which will then hit the council on July 3rd. And then we will be asking for suspension of those whatever resolutions that will come from that meeting with that. And that allows us to close out the books in a timely fashion.
Perfect. I see Tammy's here, welcome. I'm sure she'll pass that along to our law director.
She'll need to, Tim's probably got it done.
Right, probably.
She'll have it done tomorrow.
Yes. All right.
So we're going to you
We don't need a motion for that, right?
to draft.
Oh, yeah.
Draft
Yeah.
legislation.
So move.
Second.
All right, please call the roll.
Ken,
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
All right, item K3, discussion or action to accept donation to the Parks and Rec Department for anonymous donor. All right,
Yes, Council President, we received a very generous donation from a resident of Napoleon that wished to remain anonymous, and their only stipulation was that it be used to allow people to utilize a pool at no cost until that money was spent, so.
oh, wow.
I believe Tony plans on doing it on the 4th, July 4th, to allow free swimming.
Cool.
So, and then this will help defray those costs.
Oh, that's great. All right, need a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Ken,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
All right, that has been accepted. Item L, executive sessions. We have none tonight. Item M, approval of financial reports. In the absence of any objections or corrections, financial reports shall stand approved.
I did find it interesting in the financial reports, when you look at the meter investment list that was in there, a lot of
not a lot, but there's, I did some really quick mental math, and there's like $3 million that's coming due between now and the end of the year. That's just, again, just kind of looking through that. And that's all paying under 1%. And so as those dollars get reinvested at current market rate, you're gonna start to see some excess cash get produced by our meter account. So I think the yield right now, Kevin, is 1.87 yield to maturity, but that's probably gonna go up as those issues with lower rates kind of fall off, and we put some more stuff on there. So that's part of that process, right? The ebb and flow, and you plan a little bit on an annual basis for those dollars to come due, but it's $22 million, give or take, and $3 million before the end of the year, and we're halfway through the year now, so it's trending in the right way, and that will be actually a really good tailwind, I think, to budgetary measures as we go forward.
Thank you for that. Any other comments?
Well, there's no bills to approve tonight, because of, this got moved up so quickly,
Right.
and we just cut checks this past week on Tuesday. So just, I'll give a fair warning, we may have to have a special council meeting just to approve bills, because as of today, our next meeting is July 3rd, which is 3 weeks. We would hope, if there's nothing that's ultimately due, then we would just wait till July 3rd, but if there's something that is significant, we may have to, I'll have a discussion with that.
Okay.
And then I would just go back on Mayor Mazel's comments. You know, what we see is that we try to balance out our investments from like year 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Looking at that meter report, that we have investments from 2020 that we got in at a whopping 0.375%.
Which are great deals then.
Which was at that point normal. I could say Star Ohio, which we have funds in, is currently paying above 5%. So when we do reinvest these, we see 4% or higher, depending on how many years that we're gonna go out.
Great.
So, you know, that, as the interest rates have went up, we have benefited from that, although for others, if we wanna do a project and we need to borrow money, we're gonna feel that pain.
Right. Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. I'll just back up a little bit. I won't go around the table individually, but if there's anyone that has anything for the good of the city that they want to bring up before we adjourn.
Tomorrow and Wednesday is Cops and Bobbers from 9 to 1 here in town.
I believe it's tomorrow's canceled.
Tomorrow's got canceled.
It's canceled?
Do you have the
Oh,
time?
Moved in with the other day.
They doubled it up for Wednesday, anyone
Okay.
that was scheduled for Tuesday can come.
Okay, there's that.
Because of the rains prediction.
Right.
Food Fest is the end of June. Triathlon's the day after. Relay for Life is this weekend. So we got something more important on screen now.
That is Layla Jean Flogus.
How about that?
Yeah.
Yay.
Newest member of the city family. The only
Nice.
thing that Marissa commented on was that she likes to be awake 24/7.
New baby.
I'll mention quickly, there was a lemonade stand last Thursday, that countless numbers of city employees showed up to, so just really appreciate that camaraderie and community support. Meant a whole lot to those kids, so really appreciate everybody showing up.
The kids donate all those proceeds, all kinds of great charities.
Yeah, they raised $3,000, donated to the American Heart Association, the Ronald McDonald House, and an alopecia foundation. Awesome.
Just helps that you have good quality Kool-Aid, or
That's right.
lemonade.
Lemonade.
Better than Kool-Aid brand. What
Yeah,
that?
it was good.
It was good.
Council President, I do have one thing I'd like you to have a motion on, just because it came in today. We had another anonymous donation. It was for $60 to our yard waste site, and we just need to accept that donation. It was a gentleman, I think he did this last year. He pays for his card outside of the city to legally go to the yard waste site, and he feels that the $60 is well worth it, and that he would, as much as he uses it, he just wants to donate
Nice.
the amount again. So if I could just have a quick motion to approve of that, I'd appreciate it.
Motion?
Second.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Ken,
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can we make him like a gold member or something?
I will just say along those same lines, we have had a police presence out there off and on lately, just to check and make sure that people were utilizing it properly. I think it's literally and figuratively paid some dividends, so
Good.
we do have that. One last thing, I know, Mayor, you had asked me about the boat docks.
Yeah.
Those, and there's a sign posted down there, by June 15th, they have to be out.
Okay.
And if not, Tony will make arrangements to have them out of there.
Question about the fireworks. Do we know where those are being set off from on the school property?
We sure do.
Okay.
It is just west of the pond.
Oh, okay.
It's on the edge of the practice soccer field.
Okay.
So it'd be between the pond and the Bowl Diamonds, far closer to the pond, but right on the edge of the practice soccer field. And probably 100 feet off the road, maybe.
So for most people, there's been no difference.
No difference
No.
whatsoever. If you're, from your previous year's viewing, it shouldn't make any difference.
Okay. Good. All right. Anybody else? All right. Need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Ken,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
And we are adjourned.
I
Thank you
believe